My name is Steve Conti, and this is Funnybooks, Comics and Stuff, also known as the Good Ship Funnybooks. We chose Funnybooks probably because we like to keep it light and funny around here, not too serious. And the one result I didn't realize with that was that I would get the nickname Funny Steve. I've always been doing my own comics as a kid. I don't really recall the origin of Action Figure Kingdom. The specific creation of my characters Acrobat and Sparkinator, but they're probably derivative of characters I had growing up as a kid. You know, everyone creates their own superhero universes. The fact that I am a retailer and I have the retail experience, and I'm also a comic book artist and writer, that I'm positioned pretty well to understand the dynamics of the retail comic book end of it, and that will benefit me as a creator. I think a lot of comic book creators are not as familiar with store operations, and it helps to know, how things go in a store if you're doing your own comic book.
My name is Chris Allaire. I am from Newton, Massachusetts, which is like just outside of Boston. Sometimes I say I'm from Boston because it's just easier and makes people less confused, but I am from Newton, Massachusetts. So the first comic I ever read was New Avengers #8. It was included in a 2-pack of Spider-Man and Sentry action figures that I got from like an extended family member for some sort of birthday, Christmas, whatever. That, if you haven't read New Avengers, that's the issue. It's the story arc where the Sentry shows up again. In the first arc, he shows up at the raft. You don't know who he is. He kills Carnage and then he leaves. And then he's like in a cave in this issue, and Steve Rogers and Tony Stark go to this cave, and they're like, "Hey, Sentry, what's up? Listen, in the time that you were gone, somebody wrote a comic book about you, and his name is Paul Jenkins." And then Paul Jenkins, writer of the Marvel Knights limited series from 2001, The Sentry, shows up, and Paul Jenkins explains to the Sentry who he is and like his whole motivation. And I think that I'd like to think there was some sort of cosmic, like prophetic thing going on, where I was instilled a love of like very metafictional comic book storytelling at an early age. I didn't understand any of this when I read it when I was 4, but looking back, it's a really fascinating like first comic. When you have an idea for something you want to say in a story or a way that you want to say it, I think that comic books give you the most possible ways to explore that idea. I think that the lack of limitation in comics and the amount of, depth you can get like into the craft just make it so that you can make so many different types of statements, and you can say you can demonstrate ideas in ways that people haven't seen before really easily. So I think if you are willing to dig deep and have like a really strong authorial voice, I don't understand why you wouldn't make a comic, because it's a medium where you can say something in ways that nobody's ever seen before.
Hi, my name is Sean Hendricks, the owner and operator of Fat Moose Comics here in Whippany, New Jersey. Comics have always been in my life. My grandfather's friend had a newsstand, and he would give him unsold books to give to his grandkids. And so I had comics in my hands before I could even read them. My father used to read them to me, and he would run his hand under the words as he read it to me so I could see. Some days my parents were like, "I don't have time to read your comics to you." But I'm like, "Well, I want to know what happens to Spider-Man." And so I kind of really hunkered down and forced myself to learn to read. I learned how to read at a very early age. It's not a brag, it's just a fact, because I just wanted to consume these comics. The thing about this place is people like to come here and hang out. Some of my customers have nobody else in their lives that likes this sort of stuff. So when they come here, they feel very much part of a group of like-minded people. We could talk about movies and comic books and games, and it's just really, it's nice. It's exhausting sometimes, oftentimes, but I like to provide a cool spot for people to hang out and talk about the things they love.
I came here because I work in town, and I remember talking to my wife about like the origins of Batman, and I didn't really know. I just knew him just from the movies. So my wife said that it would probably be a good idea to read the comics. So I found a local one in town, and I came and I met Sean, and I told him that it was my first time reading comics, and he just showed me everywhere. He showed me he showed me around the store, and he introduced me to like different characters and different comics, and I've been coming every week, more than once a week ever since. So I would have to give my credit to Sean.
I actually have been coming to Fat Moose since Elon had his store in Morris County Mall. Yeah, that was like 85. I was in the Navy, moved to New Jersey. I was going to go to the Kubert School, got accepted, couldn't go because I couldn't raise the money. And I was looking for a comic store once I moved here, and that was the first comic store I saw because I saw an ad in the newspaper for Fat Moose Comics.
My name is Justin Wiggins. I've been working here since 2016, but I've been shopping at Moose since I was 8 years old. Comics constantly, not just Marvel and DC and superheroes, but the medium itself constantly reinvents itself. Constantly brings out new concepts, new different types of art, and just different types of storytelling.
And then I kind of love comic books as a culture. I love, how much of it, the range, like how obsessed with the craft everyone gets.
Hi, I am the real-life Peter Griffin, otherwise known as Rob Franzese, and I'm here at Garden State Comic Fest 2025.
Okay, my name is Paul Hebert. This is my wife, Mary. I'm standing in as Professor C.T. Haugens, who is a character from my game that I developed called Time and Portions. It's a role-playing video game, as well as a digital comic that makes learning history fun.
I'm currently Frog, and this guy here, he made me. Maybe he's my god. I don't know.
What is your name?
John Cameron.
And what are you doing? Where are you from?
Outer space.
And what are you doing here?
Selling Earth comics. My favorite part is buying comics. Buying Earth comics.
My name is Valerie Siebenaller. I'm from Collector's Crate. This is my booth here, and I like setting up, selling stuff, seeing people smile, making people smile.
My favorite part of coming to these conventions is meeting all new comic book fans, whether they be veteran fans or they're just getting into the genre, the art form. It's new. It's great to see these new people come here, show their interest, show their costumes, show their cosplays, and seeing them discover new and independent artists.
I have been doing conventions since I was in 8th grade. I make all my cosplays, so I really enjoy these. And the reason he's here today is because I dragged him.
And now my own answer, but thank you. I grew up watching and reading comics, manga, anime, and now me and my kids all enjoy, this type of content together and video games.
Oh yeah.
I like the artists and trying to get signatures by the artists and create these great pictures and stories and just tell these great stories in their versions or interpretations of sci-fi or fantasy. I think that's incredible.
I just love the whole genre. I love the graphic medium. I love superheroes. I don't think I have never felt like I have outgrown them. I get a great amount of inspiration and hope from reading comics. And for example, the new Superman movie, that's a movie we need for our times. It's hope. It's people using their power for good. It's people using their power for empathy and for the common man. It's an amazing thing.